What do you think Kika's priorities should be in the future?
In no particular order, having the board operate effectively and transparently is a top priority. I think that's followed by public safety. It's something that we can all agree on. It's the safety, the security, the privacy that we experience on Kiowa is something that we all enjoy. The next area is emergency management, or I like to call it recovery. How are we going to be positioned to recover in the event of a hurricane or other disaster? I mean, the reality is we do live or own on a barrier island. And last but not least, we talk about the board's governance, how we've our documents. Currently, the current board is looking at the bylaws. They're looking at the covenants, and I think that will continue into the next board. We have to realize that the documents that we're operating under today were conceived 30, 40 years ago when the composition of Kiowa was much different. Then it was the developer, it was the resort, and a smattering of summer homes. Today it's over 85% homeowners, followed by the resort, with only 2% being the developer. It's a big difference. We have to make sure that our governance is represented by those changes.
If you could lead a task force looking into any single issue that Kiowa or the community association faces, what issue would you choose and why?
I think because of my background, it would naturally be public safety. We're going to face increased pressures inside the island, or what I like to call inside the gates. Our population has increased dramatically the last several years. It continues to increase. We have over 170 homes currently being built. The resort has a lot of properties that they have not yet developed. Externally, if you look at Freshfields, if you look at Johns Island, again, the population is exploding. And one thing almost everybody wants is access to Kiowa. So we have to look at who gets access, or maybe more importantly, who doesn't get access. And then the second piece of that is, how is that access granted? Right now, we are already at the front gate. If you see it, it's at capacity, or maybe 110% capacity. How's that look? Where do we do passes? Do we do that externally? We have to look at new solutions in order to make Kiowa accessible, so we just don't sit there at the front gate. Moving inside the gate even gets more serious. That comes with increased traffic. With the increased traffic, we talk about speed control, and we've seen our stops and starts on what we're going to do about speeding on the island, or some people like to call it traffic calming. But there has to be more conversations about what that it is. I don't know about you, but I cringe when I see a family trying to get across the Kiowa Island Parkway with their kids on bicycles and the car speeding by. That will only get worse. So we have to talk about how we're going to enforce that and what level of enforcement is proper for the island. And that leads to the third prong, and that's who's going to do it. That falls mostly on the town of Kiowa, on Toki. However, as a community, we're going to have a lot of input on what that looks like. Today we have an empty police car at an intersection that gets moved around. We have to decide if that's the level of enforcement we want on the island, or do we need something more? And if we need something more, what is that? So working with the town of Kiowa, we have to come up with solutions to take care of our island.
What skills and abilities do you bring to the board which will make you a good board member?
One thing about Kiowa is that we don't lack people with talent. There's a lot of talented people on the board. There's a lot of talented people running for the board. And they bring a whole host of skills: attorneys, engineers, developers, realtors, financial experts. What I bring to the table is a lifetime in the public safety and emergency management arena. And again, as I said before, living on a barrier island, those are useful skill sets. I talked a little bit about public safety already, so let's just talk a second about emergency management. One of the things that makes Kiowa unique is it's private. So we can't assume that the cavalry is coming after an event. It's going to be upon ourselves to rebuild Kiowa. So we have to be sure that we are prepared financially, but also that we have the blue sky contracts in place so that we have the people that can come after the storm and rebuild. Tabletop exercises are essential. We may have to make sure everything is up to date. It's not going to be easy. I've been on the scene in Puerto Rico after Irma and Maria. The devastation that can take place is just mind-boggling. So getting Kiowa back to livability after such an event is going to be a challenge, and I think that I'm a good choice to be around for that challenge.
The most recent 2023 member survey expressed dissatisfaction with the board's effectiveness together. How would you alleviate concerns related to this?
You know, I'm not sure. I really don't know how they got to where they are, but I think we've all heard about it. I think the important part is to look forward and how to change it. We have a fantastic opportunity with 3 seats being open on the board to make a significant change to the board composition. My bet is all 7 candidates are the same as myself, and we have a desire to turn that around and to work as a community for positive change. So I think that's a very good thing, and a lot of it may just cure itself. But we have to remember just a couple basics, and one of them is compromise. We're not going to all get what we want. If you come into something like the board service with the inability to compromise, we will not accomplish anything. The second thing is trust, and how do we get the community trust? Well, one of the ways is transparency. We use the word a lot, but it's important that we practice it. Very little should be done in executive session. There are instances, personnel issues, et cetera, but for the most part, it's a community organization. The community should have full visibility of what we do and input on what we do and how we do it. Hand in hand with that is the integrity and the ethics. So I've served as a chief ethics officer. We have to be willing to disclose any conflicts of interest, and we have to be ready to recuse ourselves if there's something that we shouldn't be involved in. I think those ideals combined with the transparency will help the community's trust issues. Lastly, we all signed a code of conduct, and we shouldn't have to go there. But if there are individuals that are just unwilling to perform in a positive manner to support the community, they have to be removed from the process. Because again, I don't think failure going forward with the board is an option. We have a lot of work to do.